Good afternoon to all of you. This is a very impressive sight. Here we are in Las Vegas, about 4:30. A lot of other things that you could be doing. Bless you for being here. This is awesome. Good afternoon. Thank you, Debbie, for once again your wonderful introduction and your dedication to this wonderful organization as the chairman of the board. Good to see you again. You're a great class act. I'd also like to thank your president, Mike Molino, for his leadership and for inviting me here today to speak with such an energetic, professional group of people. This is a wonderful organization with great leaders and truly a great history. Congratulations on the 40th anniversary of RVDA. And to our friends from the North, Eleanor Ham, President of RVDA of Canada, Kim Stone, Chairman of RVDA of Canada, thank you for your leadership and also for your country being such a great neighbor, friend, and ally to the United States of America. I'd also like to acknowledge Richard Kuhn, President of RVIA, a good friend, and Gary LaBella, RVIA's Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer, for all of his tireless and effective work. Gary, congratulations on your many years of dedicated service to this respected organization, and may your retirement signal the well-deserved thank you from all of your colleagues throughout the industry. Also, thank you to Phil and Grazia for all of your help in planning of such a wonderful convention. Phil is a delight to work with. I come here today as a friend of the RV industry, as an active user of your products, and as an advocate for the RV industry. As Interior Secretary, as Debbie pointed out, it was part of my job to promote our national parks, our public lands, our wildlife refuges, and to be a steward of the great outdoors. President Ronald Reagan said when he was in office, only in Washington, D.C. would you call the department in charge of the outdoors Interior. I love my responsibilities that allowed me to see America the Beautiful up close and personal. I also love my RV. I love to drive my RV. I love the places that I've been with my family and friends in our RV. I love the memories that we have created in our RV. I love that my co-pilot for just 2 months ago was our 2.5-year-old grandson, Brody. He and his little brother, Jake, are already enjoying the lifestyle of RVs. So the next generation of Kempthornes are already attracted to this wonderful lifestyle. And I love that my brother, Mark, and I share more than just a brotherly bond. We both own and enjoy RVing. And while we may live hundreds of miles apart, we use our RVs for the rendezvous that keep bringing our families together. And I'm delighted to say that we both drove our coaches to this conference, and it's great to have my brother in the audience today. It's also great to have my son Jeff here with us today. He's one of those great young men who knows how to stay connected with the outdoors and treat it with respect. You have many friends who love their RVs, love this industry. I remember one largely attended dinner in Washington, D.C. that I was delighted to be seated at the head table next to Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Through much of the dinner before the formal program, Justice Thomas and I were deep in conversation. People asked me later what the two of us were talking about with such rapt attention. They wondered if it was about some key decision of the United States Supreme Court, or the latest political activity at our nation's capital, or an international situation. Well, I will tell you now that the two of us were talking about how much we both loved our RVs. At one point he said, Dirk, one of the few awards I have on my mantle is the RVer of the Year award because of what it means to me. And I said, Clarence, I think that is wonderful. And I can only imagine how you must feel when you see that award. I said, I can only imagine because I've never received the award. But I have received the Sheldon Coleman Award, right, Peter? Former Maine Governor Angus King took a year off after he served, and he and his family traveled the country in an RV. Quite apart from those in the public eye, I found that you meet the nicest people in the great outdoors as you go RVing. People from throughout the United States, Canada, as well as additional international friends. On one of my visits to a campground, as I began setting up my campsite, I noticed that a young couple next to me seemed to be having a problem. As it turned out, he was from England and she was from Australia. They had delightful accents, but I could tell he was growing more and more frustrated and self-conscious with something. It seems his Blackwater holding tank was not properly dumping. After a while, I thought I should go and see if I could be of any help. I'll admit that my years in Washington, D.C. prepared me well for dealing with such things. He said he didn't know what was wrong, but that the bloody thing kept saying he was full, and he self-consciously told me he could assure me he was not full of, well, you know why, he was uncomfortable, becoming exasperated. I'm sure that when he had decided in England to make the bold decision that he wanted to rent an RV in the United States of America, he never imagined this type of dilemma. And then to be discussing such an issue with a Yank, pip, pip, and all that. Now, you and I know how we affectionately refer to this system of our RV and some of the slang that may be used. But this was no time for that. This called for diplomacy. I needed to try to put our British friend at ease. I told him that the problem in all likelihood was simply that a small tissue may well have embraced one of the sensors inside the tank. I suggested that we try once more filling the reservoir with crystal clear water, which would probably gently float the wayward tissue from the sensors, and then we could evacuate the reservoir, and once again, he would be good to go. Well, as it turns out, that's exactly what happened. The meter then promptly read empty. "Bloody good," he yelled. "And thanks much, Yank." I mentioned he was self-conscious. I say that only for the following reason. He immediately disconnected the hose, threw it in the storage bay, threw the bay door shut, and then hopped into the driver's seat of the RV. He started the engine. I noticed that his female companion was not seated beside him. I think he forgot to tell his companion that he wanted to leave immediately. He threw the engine into gear, and as it lurched forward, I next saw her as the back door of the camper flew open because it had not been properly latched, and she swung out hanging onto the latch. Her little scream, well, not so little, caused him to slam on the brakes, thus causing the back door to again slam shut, this time properly and dramatically latching. He put it again into drive, and now his companion was safely in the camper, albeit sprawled on the floor, and they sped off to continue their wonderful camping experience in the US of A. Mary Ann asked me when I arrived, "How'd you get started in this RV stuff?" She said, "You're the real deal." Thank you. We started when Heather and Jeff were 6 and 4. We would rent a tent. As soon as we'd get to the campsite, Jeff was out exploring and just loving the outdoors. Heather would sit in the car until the tent had properly been erected, and then as a regal princess, she would take her Barbie dolls, march to the tent, and wanted nothing to do with the outdoors. Fast forward, during her college days, she worked as a whitewater river guide, living under the stars every night during the summer. That's how you get started.